So what keeps you, in most cases, from focusing upon your desire? What causes you, in other words, to focus often upon the absence of the very thing that you want, is that you are so... We're trying to find a nice way of saying it. You're so interested in what is. You're so interested in cataloging and pigeonholing and comparing the reality that is already manifested in your experience to what others have, or to what others are living, or even to what you really want. And so as you are focusing on what is, you are preventing what is from evolving to what is preferred. That is really the easiest way to say it. Well, you got to wonder, well, Abraham, what am I supposed to focus on? In other words, I've got all of these physical senses, and I am a keen observer. How do I not observe what is? And we say, you're supposed to be able to observe what is, but be a better selective sifter about it. Look for more of the positive aspects and complain less, and look for more reasons to feel good, and look for more reasons to pat yourself on the back, and others too. Look for more reasons to appreciate, and look for more reasons to reflect on the good things that are coming. Because you are an extension of source energy who is always doing that. And the way you feel in every moment in time is completely about what you're doing in relationship to what that larger part of you is doing. We say to you that you are vibrational beings, but even better description of you is that you are extensions of source energy. You are source energy in physical bodies. You are leading edge creators out here on the leading edge of creation. And so as you came into this physical body, you came from source energy. And the larger part of you didn't come into this body. The larger part of you still remains source energy. So here you are, an extension of source energy, forever tied to that perspective, forever emotionally tied to that perspective, forever vibrationally tied to that perspective. And the reason that you are emotionally tied to that perspective is because that source energy perspective of you has an opinion of you, of where you are, of what you're doing, of others around you, of life, of your creation. In other words, source is interested, deeply interested, so intricately involved in all that you are. So when you find a reason to be mad at someone, the reason that it feels so awful is because source within you is not in agreement with your negative attention to this person or this situation. Esther will say every now and again, Abraham, I think you need more information. Because if you knew what I knew, you would agree with me. But the thing about source is pure positive energy, no resistance. When source holds a desire, source does not contradict that desire with contrary thought. So here's how it works. You were source energy before you came into this physical body. As you came into this physical body, here you are exploring the variety around you, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, launching these rockets of desire. And each time, from your unique and very important point of view, you launch a rocket of desire, source acknowledges that new desire and becomes it vibrationally. So you just became whatever it was that life caused you to want vibrationally. Now, as a human, you often want to say, oh, big deal, I became it vibrationally, but I still don't have the money in my bank. I became it, I launched the desire, but the desire is still not mine. Jerry said so often, I want to find a way to explain how vibrations become manifestations. He wanted to write a book called Personally Discover Thoughts That Feel Good to You When You Think Them, and think more of those. And also be aware of thoughts that don't feel good when you think them, and think fewer of those. You would begin to clean up the resistance in your experience, and you would have this pure path between where you stand right now and what you really want. You see, the source within you, it's true of us as we acknowledge you. We know where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. And so Source is calling you continually on what we are calling a path of less resistance, or a better way of saying it is a path of most allowance. So here you are in your physical bodies, exploring and launching desires all day, every day. But the question is, why are the desires that you are identifying not more easily coming into manifested form? And the answer is because you are contradicting your own desires with thoughts. You're contradicting your own desires with current beliefs. A belief is just a practiced thought. It's just a thought you keep thinking. So if you could think more thoughts about what you want and fewer thoughts about what you don't have, more thoughts about what's coming and fewer thoughts about what hasn't come, if you could decide that you're going to personally discover thoughts that feel good to you when you think them and think more of those, and also be aware of thoughts that don't feel good when you think them and think fewer of those, you would begin to clean up the resistance in your experience, and you would have this pure path between where you stand right now and what you really want. You see, the Source within you, it's true of us as we acknowledge you. We know where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. And so Source is calling you continually on what we are calling a path of less resistance, or a better way of saying it is a path of most allowance, toward the fulfillment of what you want. It's like breadcrumbs being dropped for you to see. But you've got to be in the vibrational vicinity of the Source within you in order to realize that trail. Your trail is being revealed to you all day, every day. The question is, are you realizing it? And the answer is, not so much, not hardly enough, not nearly what you intend, because you are often vibrationally focused in a way that holds you in a frequency that doesn't allow you the realization. You know that feeling? You've heard yourself say, "Oh, I just got the best idea." What happened in that moment was you were, for whatever reason, not offering vibrations that were contradictory to who you really are and what you really know, and your path lighted up for you in a moment, and you were the translator of that vibration into a meaningful thought. That's what happened. So turning those thoughts to things. So here's this knowing of who you are and what you want, and a very precise trail, dozens of trails, hundreds of rewarding, satisfying trails to lead you not only to the end result that you want, but along a very delicious path along the way. So here's this vibration. Here it is, but are you realizing it? It's being revealed to you. It's being offered to you. It's being transmitted to you. It's Source knowing what you want, where you are in relationship to what you want, and Source offering divine clarity about how to get there. The question is, are you hearing? And the answer is sort of, kind of, but not very much. So when you do things like meditate, which when someone suggested that to Jerry and Esther, they said, "What?" Sounded so weird to them. They were business people. They didn't want that weirdness in their life. It made them think of walking on hot coals and sleeping on beds of nails, and the man at the airport standing on one foot with his hand out for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And Esther said, "Meditate, what do you mean?" Sit in a quiet room and wear comfortable clothing and focus on your breathing. And when your mind wanders, and it will, release the thought and focus on your breathing. So they did. They went home, put on comfortable clothing, put on their bathrobes, closed the curtains, sat in these wingback chairs because it was embarrassing to do such a weird thing together. Etagere between them, focused on breathing. And right away, Esther felt the detachment from focusing only on her breathing. In other words, when she no longer was focusing on anything that was resistant in nature, her vibration raised, and she came into vibrational alignment with us. She didn't know it, but she did it in that very first moment of meditation. For 9 months, Jerry and Esther sat and meditated, and nothing happened that was very significant past that first day when she felt us breathe her, powerfully breathe her. So 9 months they meditated, and then she's sitting there one day, 15 minutes a day was all, and her nose began moving around. Was like flying in her detached state. She couldn't really feel her foot from her nose. She just was sort of like a nebulous being. She wasn't in her body so much. She wasn't out of her body. She just sort of felt detached from everything. And suddenly she realized that she was spelling the alphabet with her nose. Well, we had been offering blocks of thought to her for months, but she wasn't expecting to receive blocks of thought from Source. So it wasn't until we started writing like chalk on a chalkboard. She said to Jerry, "I'm spelling the alphabet with my nose." Jerry got his notebook. He knew something was up. So what we want you to understand is you don't have to spell with your nose on a chalkboard. You have Source flowing to you. And when you get in the vibrational vicinity and Source has this knowing that is being presented to you, when you are in the vicinity of it, you will receive that revelation. But more important and better said, you will be able to translate it. You will realize it into something meaningful. And the first thing that happens is you'll receive a thought. That's the first stage of the turning of the vibration into things. It's the thought occurs to you. And right with the thought comes an emotional response. And when you're tuned in, like Esther was, not even realizing it, she was tuned in because, hear this, she wasn't tuned out. It's like a cork bobbing on the surface of the water. Let's call that tuned in. Hold it under the water. That's not tuned in. Let go of it. It'll bob right back up. In other words, you don't have to work for your alignment. Just stop doing that thing you do that keeps you from alignment. That complaining or that haranguing or that blaming or that guilting. So you receive the thought and then you receive the emotion. Feels so simultaneous. And then if you are able to find a way of practicing the vibrational frequency of the belief of your desire, then more and more things will occur. Universal forces will come into place. Rendezvous will occur. More co-creation with more others until you will be the absolute, no exception, full realizer, receiver of anything that you have desired. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal to inspire within you a desire, it has the wherewithal to deliver it to you in fullness. And as you look around, there are plenty of those who are receiving plenty of realizations of plenty of things that they want. But you're just getting started. This is the time of awakening. This is the time when more of you are coming into vibrational alignment with who you really are. It's the time when you are returning to the fullness of who you are, to that joyous being, to that fun-loving being, to that happy, expectant, positive being that you were when you were born, that you are meant to be. And it's not a difficult road back into that kind of alignment. We're eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. There is nothing that is off limits here. You will notice the perfect unfolding. Sometimes you'll have your hand up and we won't call specifically on you, but we'll ask someone else to the hot seat who will have the same thing to talk about that you want to know about, and you will hear it more easily from there than from there. It is our promise that anything that is active within you that you are wanting to understand, we will talk about fully to your satisfaction. The important thing to understand is that the better you feel and the more expectant you are of receiving the answer, the more likely you are to receive it. We're going to have a wonderful day here today. It is our knowing that not only will we satisfy what you've come to know about, that together we can feel who you are. We'll take thought beyond that which it has been before. Because this group of physical and non-physical has never been before unto all of the universe. We are unique in our coming together, in our focus, in our vibrational soup. Good things are about to happen today. What do you want to talk about? Really good. You've come with things. There's a lot of trouble in this room.